Why did they straighten Moana's hair in the live action? Actress's natural hair was definitely fine for Moana. Someone said, have that straight hair out by July 10th. I didn't pay to see Moana. Rena said, why on earth would they do that when the first movie literally spent millions of dollars just to animate her curly hair? Disney Animation developed a new engine to better simulate Moana's curls and accurately portray her hair texture just for the live action to remove said hair texture.
So they just dropped the trailer for the new live action Moana. I didn't even know we were getting a live action Moana, so this is news to me. It's set to release sometime in July of 2026. So since the trailer dropped, of course I had to see like what people were saying. And so far the reception hasn't been super popular. That they don't know why there's so many Disney live actions recently. People saying that Moana 2 just recently came out, so why are they doing this so fast? You remember not long ago we had Stone White, and that live action didn't really get the reviews that people thought it was going to get.
2016, almost 10 years ago. That's when we got the last Moana. I don't understand why Disney continues to make live actions when nobody wants them. Bro, it's been 10 years. 10 years. You can't even say, oh, that's a childhood classic. There needs to be some kind of distance annually for it to be considered nostalgic. Disney keeps trying to bank on nostalgia before it's cooked. And I think a lot of people can agree that there is zero artistic need for a remake, whether it be live action or otherwise. Because use your eyes, there's nothing about Moana, the original movie that was only 10 years ago, that's outdated, or rather improved by translating it into live action. And I use that very loosely, because who are we kidding? They keep calling these things live action when 90% of it is CGI. And who is this supposed to be? You'd think Disney would learn from this, yet people are dunking on it in the comments. As people are saying, the animated OG Moana film isn't nearly old enough for a live action remake. This guy said, if I saw this movie on a plane, I would still walk out. This is cute. The acronym milking the brand once again at the cost of creativity. Nothing new here, as expected from Disney. And it rhymed too.
It's one thing to make remakes of movies that are more than 20 years old and reintroducing them to a new audience. It's a whole nother thing to make a remake of a movie that is barely 10 years old and the sequel only coming out last year.
You know, it is quite hard to build excitement for something when you literally just saw it. Like, and the thing is that the movie that they're coming out with, the remake supposedly, it looks much worse in comparison to the original. I don't look at this and think, oh wow, that's beautiful, because of course, naturally, people are going to compare it to the original, and it pales in comparison. Oh yeah, and as that girl said, wasn't there a sequel? When did the sequel come out? Oh dog. Last year is when the sequel came out. And they released the live action the year after. I mean, it was useless enough when they came out with the How to Train Your Dragon remake. So now we're not just soulless, we're completely useless, which the live actions already were. Bro, who is over there managing these companies? Live actions functioned originally to update extremely old films with new effects that they couldn't achieve back when, wherever, how long ago that was. Usually a very long time. For example, the original Star Trek. Sorry guys, I know, but I could not sit down and watch this if you paid me to do it. So much dead air going on. It's extremely outdated if we're to believe this takes place in the future. The screen is moving, it has hair particles moving across it. Even with Star Trek Enterprise, which I just finished watching recently, it's extremely outdated as well, but not as bad as the original. I was still able to watch and enjoy it. It was remade for the later generation. Cinematically, it still works extremely well, even though yes, you can say it's dated. Nothing is wrong with the originals, especially if you have an animated work. I feel like those can stand the test of time a lot better. Examples, 101 Dalmatians, movies like it, Cinderella, all of those. These movies had decades of distance, and so the tech leap that they made actually caused the remake to feel very fresh. And let's not forget the main reason why they have these remakes. The main reason is to introduce a property to a generation that wasn't alive for the first version. Moana's sequel only came out last freaking year at the time of this video. Last year! So live action would be coming out 2 years after this, supposedly. So what are we doing? Especially when Disney's had such a poor reception of live actions as of late. Unless this one was already in the vault and they're like, might as well let it go. Whatever, just let it loose. But seriously, I hope there's no more pizzas in that oven. And whoever Disney is paying to read the freaking room at Disney, they need to fire them because they're not doing their job. Doesn't mean that the movie won't be good, but people are going to be judging it against the original. The movie looks like ass. And Moana is still very loved by a lot of people. It wasn't a bad movie. It was actually quite enjoyable. I could kind of understand if they're like, well, maybe we need to remake it because people don't like it. And I get that, but people already like the original, which is going to make it even harder for the remake to stand up or walk in the shoes of the original, whose sequel, I must remind you, must reiterate, only released last year. But apparently Disney is operating on the very definition of insanity. Just keep doing the same things and expecting different results.
You can't keep getting away with this! You can't keep getting away.
Well, at least we've got other things to look for, like the Super Mario Galaxy movie. See how they handle that franchise? See how pretty it looks? I swear to God, if in 2 years they decide they're gonna do a live action of these movies. And speaking of those movies, there's already freaking drama that had to come plopping right down beside it. Anyway, there were some people asking, genuine question, like this person here, strawberry cake, shortcake, whatever. And she's responding to everybody being upset or, poking fun at the whole ordeal. And she says this, and she's asking a genuine question, so I'm going to answer genuinely, even though I kind of did for the majority of this video. So she says, when Disney changes the storylines and characters of movies with remakes, we complain and say that they have an original movie with a script ready to go, so why mess it up? But then when they make a remake like this one, Moana, and it appears to be exactly the same to the animated one, that's lazy and not good either. I see people criticizing this trailer by saying it's a one-to-one version of the original. Do they just dislike remakes? Is there any live-action remake that would be good enough for them? As a Moana fan, I'm personally excited to see this. I hope it's good and as close to the original as possible. I can't lie, it feels like some people just want to complain about anything sometimes. Well, it makes sense that you're okay with this because you're a Moana fan. If they sell Moana on a piece of tissue that's only designated for people to wipe their ass, you're gonna buy it and enjoy it. That's what the definition of a fan is, or an example of what a super fan is, or a fan. You won't care either way. And I think for Moana fans, you probably have to admit that you do have a bit of bias. But then again, I can't even say that because I'm a How to Train Your Dragon fan, and I still haven't watched the live action because it's not necessary. And I don't want to sour the original because it literally just came out. It just ended a few years ago. So I'm going to explain the psyche, because if this person is genuinely asking this question, I still feel personally that if you're genuinely asking a question, you don't just judge people. You saying that, well, I feel like people just criticize for the sake of criticizing, but yet you're genuinely asking a question, you should probably ask the question and give people time to answer before you add that. But then again, it is your opinion. But I'm going to give my answer as if you're asking me personally. Okay, so usually when people get angry with remakes is when you do have an original thing like Cinderella that was made in the 50s. Let me see. Ooh, nailed it. Yeah, it was made in the 1950s. So yeah, you have a story like that. People want to see it updated, right? The remakes being made 20 to 70 years later, like Cinderella or The Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast. So, these movies came out at a time where there was very limited technology. They were hand-drawn. There was a different cultural lens. I don't find anything wrong with hand-drawn animation. I think it needs to come back. But yeah, I can understand why those older animations, once they stop holding up or technology advances, why they would want to make them better, remaster them, what have you. So people expect better frames, better effects, even add to the world a little bit, maybe even deepen character motivations. But there's nothing wrong with these stories because they stand the test of time. If anything, I believe a true remake should maintain the value and the soul of the original, adding to it and not taking away from it. One of the very rare remakes that handled this expertly was Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book. One of the best remakes that I have seen, not just from Disney, but from anywhere. The movie had so much soul. I think it could have used a little bit more color, but it was beautifully done. And Jon Favreau added to it. He made it, yes, it wasn't true live action, but even Shere Khan and Bagheera and the monkeys, it still felt like Jungle Book, but they added so much of a richer theme to the story that was already there. They built upon it, and you had no question in your mind that you were watching Jungle Book, not something that they took and gutted out the soul from. This had so much soul. It was so dark. It's not just one of my favorite remakes, it's one of my favorite movies. I could still go back and watch the original, which is kind of outdated for me, honestly, but you could still enjoy it. And I actually prefer this remake to the original, which is very rare. But if you actually listen to what people are saying online, the reason why they're saying the one-to-one remake is lazy in terms of Moana is because, like I said ad nauseum, it just came out. It came out only 10 years ago, and the sequel only came out last year. Look at it. You're a fan of it. The animated Moana already looks stunning. It didn't need updated CGI or an updated story. The culture, it's already good. It stands well enough on its own right now. I mean, if this movie came, I say if it came out right now, you know, you would believe that it belongs with the time because it literally came out last year. Like, hello? What? It doesn't need a remake. You just saw it. You just saw it. Like, most of the general population isn't going to be like, wow, I'm super excited for something I just fucking saw. There's nothing to wonder about. It's not rocket science. That's the key difference. Old classics being remade many generations later will enhance this. We're looking at this stuff now 3D, but on a 2D platform. Thousands upon thousands of years later, every single one of these works might need to be remade because maybe people won't be watching stuff on screens anymore. That's actually one of the plots to one of my stories where people all have a chip in their head, and those who are seen using screens are made fun of and been like, wow, what are you, prehistoric? You're using a screen? Because it's not necessary. So imagine like Oculus or smart glasses, right? This is going to become the norm in the future, except you won't need glasses. You won't need a screen because it will literally be in your line of vision while allowing you to still see the world around you. For example, the dot and bubble episode in Doctor Who. Although I don't like the direction in which Doctor Who went, this was a very interesting concept for Doctor Who. But people can see the world around them while always having their phone or whatever they're looking at in their field of vision, and that's going to be the norm. So much so that if you were to put them in a normal world without something behind their eyes to see, they wouldn't know how to function in it or walk. So maybe someday TVs and movies will be a thing of the past as we can view them now, and with that new technology they'll have to translate everything to whatever stands for that kind of viewing technology they'll have then. Maybe then people will be living inside of and actively interacting with their entertainment. Imagine you're in a horror movie and you choose to play as one of the characters, like a visual novel, kind of like Oculus, but you're there. Now you're not just seeing people on screen getting chased by a dinosaur, you are also getting chased by a dinosaur. You can feel the flicks of mud on your face as it comes closer to you as you're trying to escape in your vehicle. Vehicles that will be things of the past, by the way. So yeah, it's not too hard to wonder why people are upset or poking fun at this. But for all we know, they're just emptying out their catalog because these movies were already in the works anyway. And I sincerely hope so, because if they collectively looked at the success rate or lack thereof of the recent live action remakes that they put out, and they decided that the best course of action would be to, yeah, full steam ahead. We love losing money. You know? Oh boy. Anyway, is there anybody here who actually likes any of the Disney remakes? I've only talked to a few people and they're usually like a handful. So I actually want to hear from the public. What do you guys think of live action remakes? Do you consider them to actually be live action or CGI? Do you see a difference? Do they feel soulless to you, or does it not affect you whatsoever?
I moved on, I got a chick, she's better looking than you.